Hey gang, I went to Adepticon for the Warhammer reveals, so you didn't have to. This is gonna be 40k and 11th, so if you want AOS, I'm sorry, this got super long, super fast, sozzles. Starting off strong with the elephant in the room, we have been blue-ballsing Steel Legion for years. They're a small fanbase, but a vocal one. Essentially replaced by Krieg many years ago, the only way to still play them was to paint Krieg or have old metal minis and use the mechanized assault guard detachment. This was also doubled down on by GW with the release of the Paint Krieg like Steel Legion how-to video that they put out the day after the Yarrick reveal trailer, which whipped up everyone into a frenzy about Steel Legion. How can we have Armageddon, the homeworld of the Steel Legion, with no Steel Legion? How can we have Yarrick, infamous commander of the Steel Legion, with no Steel Legion? It didn't make sense. Then at the start of the big reveals show, oopsies, we take it back. We were just kidding. You can have Steel Legion, look at this concept art we did on a napkin out back, and give us 2 years to design, sculpt, and make molds for new models. Unless you forget about it in that time, so we don't have to. Jokes aside, apart from the Captain America capital A hats, they look pretty good, and I'm glad they are listening to the community response to the missing Steel Legion from the Yarrick trailer. Leading on from Steel Legion, we have the official reveal for 11th, with Commissar Sebastian Yarrick leading on the Imperium side. Yarrick was presumed dead in 8th edition, and the community have been begging for his return since. His new mini is pretty same to his previous one though, not super exciting on that front, but we have some cool people to go with him. If you want to know more of my opinion on Yarrick's return, I did do a video on him and the trailer that they released for him a couple weeks ago. I'll do a little pingy thing for it here. So the first on his roster is Commissar Thania Greaves. This is a fearless, strong, independent woman if there ever was one, and her model is supreme. She has a tank. This is Vigilance, a heavily modified Centaur transport. Centaurs are a new rapid strike transport vehicle as an alternative to Chimeras. Not gonna lie, this felt like another stab against Steel Legion, since they're very much known for intense Chimera usage. Graves' vigilance comes with her Officio Perfectus retinue, who take it in turns holding her flag and manning the heavy stubbers, which is honestly pretty cute. They did say that she'll come with 2 of herself in the box, one on the transport and one on foot, so you don't always have to field her mounted and save some points for more regular boys with guns. Next up is Inquisitor Croyle. This guy only comes mounted, but it's a cool-ass horse alien thing. It looks kinda cruisy. He is reportedly eccentric and flamboyant, but with the heart of a stone-cold master huntsman. His giant rifle is a Jindari Tox Cycler, and to be honest, it looks pretty for a Warhammer gun. And with how WarComm decided to paint it, you could probably mistake it for a slender Eldar weapon. The horse is called a Garrelisk. This poor thing is wearing a compliance hood, but this does look like a build option like Croyle himself having a hat and no hat head, so they can bite the enemy. To not forget the Sisters of Battle, we then have the Dogmata Superior Intrancia Frey, and by God, she's a sick sculpt. Gone are the days of spinny chairs. In are the days of chairs with legs, so you can waddle over to the hot pockets instead of using those caveman wheels. But no, I like this is cool, kinda like the Sisters Dreadnought, but she's not goop. This lady leads the Armageddon contingent of the Order of Armated Lady. Her mount is called the Throne of Flame, but I think to match this name it does need a bit more than the 2 braziers, but it's close enough. They tried. As far as I can gather, her main attack is pointing at enemies and telling them what she did to their dad last night for peak psychic damage. She does seem a little unhinged though, even for the very hinged universe that is Warhammer, somewhat matching her throne. She routinely promotes her own congregational members to mortifier engines, which isn't super fun for them probably. The last thing to come with the big man is the Hippogriff AFV, another vehicle, kinda like a small or alternate version to Yarrick's old Fortress of Arrogance, which was a Baneblade. It has a few choices of turret mounts, a regular-ass battle cannon, a castigator Gatling cannon, a melter cannon, and a las cannon. This is pretty sick, to be honest, depending who you're up against. I would recommend magnetizing them all so you can swap them around, using the melter for if you're playing against tanks, Gatling guns for against horde armies, and the las cannons for just generalized mass destruction. Not sure how the 6 wheels would fare IRL compared to a track vehicle, but sometimes aesthetics are just more important. Altogether then, in the Guard Battalion box, not gonna lie, even more Steel Legion coded. It has 2 Hippogriff AFVs, a Centaur RSV with a squad of 10 Cadian shock troops to ride on it, and a Rogel Dawn tank. It seems odd that it's Cadians and not Krieg, and then Krieg, not Steel Legion, but what are you gonna do about it? Paint them yellow? Then for the Sisters of Battle Battalion box, after all the entrancey of Frey and her Mortifactor engine love, there are none of these in this box. What's that about? Instead, you get 3 Paragon warsuits and a Palatine with 10 Novitiates and 10 Repentia. And I just want to quote here from the WarComm article. Her zealous intolerance extends to any sign of weakness, even from her own congregation, who routinely find themselves consigned to the torturous Mortifactor engines that she leads into battle in great numbers. 2. 3 mighty Paragon warsuits and a Palatine lead a mobile contingent of light infantry, including 10 Sisters Novitiate and 10 Sisters Repentia, the ideal accompaniment for Entrancia Frey. To paraphrase, she is known for leading great numbers of Mortifactor engines into battle, and the battalion box is the ideal accompaniment to Frey, but has 0 Mortifactor engines. Whomster the fucketh was responsible for making this box for her, or at least writing the WarComm article. Okay, moving on. The Orks. I was genuinely excited for Orks. I like the chunky green chuds. Hate the accent, but I love the aesthetic and the memes. And from doing the research in the lead up to these reveals, I learned a whole goddamn lot about Wazdaka Gutsmech, and now I'm kind of confused. In his lore up until these reveals, he had a giant bike called the Bike of the Apocalypse. This is described as a turbo-powered, insanely modded orc bike with personally designed Daka cannons with twin-linked that can easily melt a thick tank, and decorated with the still flaming skulls of a Titan's Princept and crew from Scalyx 6. But on the reveals, he has a weedy little baby bike called the Big Rever, with the following text. The legendary bike boss, who, rumour has it, has never once left the saddle of his enormous warbike, Big Rever. He lives for the roar of engines and the scream of wind as it whips by, drowned out only by the tempestuous racket of his steed's Psycho Gatler. With no mention of the Bike of the Apocalypse, or a Daka cannon. So like, huh? He had rules in past editions, and from the descriptions we have and those datasheets, Big Rever is probably just his name for his own bike, and the Daka cannon was upgraded or replaced, or again, just his name for it, the Psycho Gatler. I kinda hate that it's well, this is what other orcs call it, and this is what the Imperium christened the bike as, but this is its real name. And in terms of it being a weedy little thing, if you take notice of the skulls on his back seat, presumably attempting to be the still flaming skulls of the Titan's Princeps and crew from Scalyx 6 that he's insanely proud of. One of the heads is a Mark 6 Space Marine helmet, so you can kind of see how big he is compared to that. I think this is more of an oversight maybe by the design team, at least in the reveal, to not really have anything to show scale a bit more clearly. At first glance of the photos we have, he just looks small with a regular sized orc warbike and the twinning Yarrick's claw hand. But I think he's actually pretty huge and will be quite a nice intimidating unit to have on the tabletop. Plus, from the sounds of it, the Psycho Gatler will work much the same as the old Daka cannon in rules, like it can shoot in the same round as an advance move. I kinda wish it was a bit more clear with the change in name, but I'm also British and pedantic, so sucks to be me, I guess. In true GW fashion, there was a lot of Imperium things, and not much on the Orc side despite being the other half of the 11th edition story. We literally have Wazdaka and a new boss knob. He's fine, looks kinda bland compared to the ornate Imperium stuff, and kinda mid compared to Waz and his bike. Likewise to Waz, he has a stick with a Mark 7 helmet to help hint at his scale, and to be honest, the little babby squig on his back is just adorable, and I'm only not mad about this reveal because of that little guy. So if you get this model and you don't want little squig butt, my PO box address is in my Discord linked below, please and TY.
Armageddon, the war world. Its soil is worthless, salted by the blood and sweat of generations. War is all that remains. It rises from the dust and echoes in the sky, a promise. a cacophony of endings. We belong here.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
Our veins burn with his wrath. Our twin hearts hammer with his rage. War is all that we know. There is only war.
Anyway, so how will 11th play, you ask? I don't know. I haven't played it. It's not out yet. But we have the biggest changes that are coming, and to be honest, I'm pretty hyped. I am one of the many who struggle with playing because it just feels like so much work just learning the rules and the little nitpicks to everything, only to get hit with a "you have activated my trap" card. But it's not a trap card, it's just that I didn't memorize page 194 of the core rulebook, so I did something dumb, or I forgot I needed to capture objectives and was just brute force murdering the other team because that's what's fun to me. I know to others, or at least the vocal minority who wish every game was an Excel spreadsheet, won't like these simplifications. I know, I'm awful, but sozzles. I also won't be a hater on the Total War 40k being a console simplification, because if I wanted to play Stellaris, then I would play Stellaris. Again, sozzles, but not really. But yeah, sorry, back on topic. One of the guiding principles of the new edition was to create a unified experience for anyone playing Warhammer 40k. So rather than separating matched, narrative, and open as ways to play, the aim was to make every game feel like it was a compelling narrative, while also feeling balanced and exciting. You can use current codexes, congrats, and datasheets are pretty much staying the same. It's just attachments will be updated or created over time. GW have said there will be over 70 at launch of 11th, and with a lot more realistic army building. So you can use several small specialized attachments to build a larger army, or use one more general detachment to cover the whole army. Plus, on top of that, the missions and objectives will be based on your list, so you won't be punished for having a horde army by drawing missions and objectives that reward vehicles or lone operative armies. This next one I didn't know was a thing, and turns out I've just been cheating this whole time, but it's going to be legal in 11th, which is nice. Characters don't lose their abilities when their bodyguard unit dies. Sorry to anyone I played in 10th. TYGW for legalizing my crimes. The next change is objective markers. Again, something I tend to ignore because I prioritize getting my stinky boys into melee to kill, kill, kill. I feel like this is more of an aesthetic change. Objective points still exist, but instead of being highly brandable and merchandisable and profitable for third-party sellers to make custom VTuber objective marker mats, I'm not salty or designed some cool as fuck art for some that I may or may not use for table mats or something now instead. The objectives are terrain pieces. Ruins, bunkers, relics, high ground, etc. And to be honest, I like this. I'm a painter of the Warhammers, so if this means more interesting and diorama-like battle tables, then I'm happy. Plus, it means more terrain to put in my dioramas. I'd stream my painting and commissions on here and Twitch on weekends and try to help make little tutorials and things, so if you want to see that, subscribe here or follow my Twitch below, and if you really like it, you could be a member as well, and there's like a special little channel in my Discord for you. It's very cool. GW says that this change will make the games feel more narrative and immersive, and we have new engagement rules as well. Lots of units will be unable to be targeted until they have been activated in the shooting phase, or an opposing unit has gotten close enough to see them, which means a lot of units will be less vulnerable to first turn alpha strikes, which is pretty cool. Next is stratagems. Now, I use stratagems, but I generally just forget they exist, so again this sounds pretty nice to me, because I have played people who don't forget stratagems exist, and they stack multiple of them in the same phase. So in 11th, strats will no longer be able to be stacked in a phase. Yahoo for me. Now you will actually have to play the game, instead of nickel and diming combat points to nuke me. On to the actual gameplay, again, love, love, love. Charges. Units roll for charge first before selecting a target. Amazing. Disembarks. Units can disembark directly into combat Big ups for melee-based armies who need a lift because they only have 4 inches of movement. And melee changes, there's a couple of these. This isn't really said much on, so we can only really assume what they mean. But the order of pile-in and consolidation moves has been tweaked. Not gonna lie, I thought these were a case of same thing, different name. Maybe in 11th they will be. The order of activation has also been changed to balance against keyword fights first units, which is nice to see. And there's a new system for assigning wounds, which is nice. I might be wrong, but in 10th at least, all wounds were assigned to one guy in a unit until that guy dies, and any leftover hits go on to the next guy, but damage doesn't overflow. I hope this change means that I can spread out 3 wounds over the whole unit, which I think is a bit more realistic in a fun way when my Plague Marine squad is blasted with essentially a blunderbuss as opposed to all 3 focusing on one guy with a famously AoE gun. The last thing is the app. Now these things, I always thought it was dumb that these weren't already a thing in the app. I assume people just use third-party apps or just notebooks, but they did it. In-game scoring and being able to see your opponent's datasheets. I'm not saying I've done this, or played against people who've done this, but I don't trust people I'm playing against to give me the right numbers to roll against. I've also watched some friends play IRL at various cons, and have been actively checking my app's datasheets if the person my friend is playing an army I own, like Death Guard, and I may or may not have caught someone telling little fibs on AP values once or twice. I imagine people in tournaments already have copes to get around this, by bringing physical datasheets or codexes, for example, so both players can see all the official things rather than phone glances and trust. So yeah, I like the majority of these changes and additions. I don't have a whole lot of free time, so when I do want to play and I'm faced with a 4-hour game, I kinda don't wanna. So having these changes that make the games a little bit more streamlined, a little bit quicker, a little bit more simple, I'm very happy. And with the models, I think I'm warming up to WAS at least, and the Imperium are the Imperium. We'll see if they keep their tentative roadmap for Steel Legion in 2 years. I kinda think they hope it'll make everyone happy now and then just quietly delay or cancel like next year or so. And if you're still here, TY as always, consider becoming a member of the channel. We have a secret channel in my Discord for polls on content and opinions and photos of my kitten. Otherwise, like, comment, sub, TY.